It is astounding to me to see that actually when you compare apples to apples, you still have Marriott with higher multiples. I think we're going to see both Booking and Expedia give Airbnb a run for its money. So we've kind of looked at Booking versus Marriott here and the hotel industry at large. This is the past month of stock performance ending March 20th. So Marriott is the orange. That's the line that goes down the most. Yellow is QQQ, the NASDAQ 100, and Booking is the blue, so the second worst line here, right? It makes sense, right? The other two lines are the QQQ, NASDAQ 100, and S&P 500. These are both travel hospitality companies. Of course, they're going to dip more than the average index. This is interesting in the sense of, on the right side, you see their 10-year compounded annual growth rate, Booking at 17.1%, Marriott at 9.7%. And you can see against S&P and QQQ. If you look at the stock returns over the past 10 years, that's on this side here. That's this yellow bar is the 10-year stock performance. Orange is 3. Blue is 1 year. Gray is 5 years. Sorry for bouncing around. But anyway, this is again through March 20th of 2020. You can see Booking now taking that huge hit down at now at about 1350 off of roughly 2,000 6 weeks ago. Net over the past 5 years, their stock is basically not changed. Pretty interesting, right? Marriott's actually down 11% as compared to 5 years ago. So let's dig into why. Now, this is interesting because Marriott, if you think about it, Marriott isn't a platform, but they are platformy in the sense that Marriott doesn't own the hotels. That inventory doesn't sit on the Marriott balance sheet. What Marriott has is brands, and then they have service contracts to manage those hotels. So there are franchise owners that invest, and they actually own the property of the hotel. And then Marriott is the operating entity that earns a percent of revenue, a management fee, and then they operate the hotel. They have the membership program to help bring demand, and they have, they make sure that the hotel is operated up to the brand profile, right? Marriott has over 30 different brands in the Marriott portfolio. Platformy, asset light, let's call it, but not a platform. You can see similar aspects where you kind of have hotel owners as like pseudo producers, and then you obviously have hotel travelers and customers. So let's compare these two. Marriott actually has a higher EBITDA margin, that's the orange line here, than Booking. In 2019 at 46% compared to Booking at 38%. Now, what is interesting is the variability in Marriott's EBITDA margin, which you can see peaked at 59% in 2017 and came down somewhat drastically the past years. Booking's EBITDA margin stays pretty constant. And in 2019, they more than doubled the amount of actual EBITDA that Marriott had. So despite Booking having a lower margin, they're still posting double almost every year the amount of EBITDA than Marriott. Comparing that to the revenue here, Booking, you can see here at $96 billion in GMV, not revenue, GMV, compared to Marriott GMV. So we're saying, the total stays at all their different brands at $57 billion. Then what that translates into revenue is $15 billion in revenue for Booking versus, $5.5 billion in revenue for Marriott, which is pretty interesting, right? So Booking doesn't have 3x the amount of GMV that Marriott does, but they have 3x the revenue. Booking has not even 2x the amount of GMV that Marriott has, but it has 3x the revenue. And that comes down to this slide, which is looking at monetization rates. So you can see, roughly what Booking's take rate is as compared to Marriott. Booking take rate in the blue, Marriott take rate in the gray. But this doesn't solely account for it because you can see, if you just take 10.5% of Booking's $96 billion in GMV, how does Booking have $15 billion in revenue? So this is also where you have platforms that are hybrid, where they have linear activities and they have platform activities, right? So you have GMV and take rate, platform activity. And then what are you doing as a linear to either buy or resell inventory or other activities to try and make that revenue pool larger overall? Can you generate linear revenue and get it valued at a platform multiple? That's the holy grail, right? And that's what we see Amazon do all the time with them doing white label products or being a reseller of many products on Amazon. A couple other stats here to look at, comparing kind of Booking and Marriott. So if we look at the EV to GMV multiple, so enterprise value to GMV multiple, it's about 0.94x. If we look at the EV to revenue multiple, it's 6x, right? And I'm going to compare these to Marriott in a second. EV to EBITDA multiple is 15.7x. Who do you think is going to be higher? Marriott multiples or Booking multiples? You would think that it should be Booking multiples, right? They're the platform. Platforms are supposed to command higher multiples. That's what everyone knows, right? That's the name of the game. This is actually higher for Marriott. System-wide sales is what they call it. That's kind of their equivalent of GMV. 1.08x. Booking had 0.95x of GMV, EV to GMV multiple. What about revenue? 11.48x revenue. Booking was at 6. This is almost double. Let's look at EV to EBITDA. 25. Booking is at 15. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. What would you rather own? Booking or Marriott? Even take away the whole situation where I think the Booking stock is at a very attractive discount right now because of coronavirus. Even take that away. What am I going to choose, Booking or Marriott? It's obviously going to be Booking. I mean, it is astounding to me to see that actually when you compare apples to apples here, kind of system-wide sales as a close, similar number to what GMV would be for platforms, you still have Marriott with higher multiples. So let's look at Marriott's stock. Marriott, $75 right now. 6 months ago was at $150. Okay, it got cut in half. I think it bottomed out at $63. Which one do you think is going to come back faster, right? Which one do you think is going to regain share faster? To me, it's no question. It's going to be Booking. The platforms should be able to weather the storm better. Comparatively, we're seeing that. We're seeing Booking stock weather the storm better, have less of a dip during the down cycle. These are both somewhat asset-light businesses in that sense, right? So Marriott doesn't have all these leases, or they don't own the underlying assets of these hotels. It's not on their balance sheet, so it's somewhat asset-light in that regard. Yet still, the platform has that winner-take-all dynamic, and Marriott has a lot more competition than Booking does, right? Platforms have a winner-take-all dynamic, name of the show, and there's only room for one or two dominant winners. I think we're going to see both Booking and Expedia give Airbnb a run for its money, because now the renters, the homeowners that were doing short-term rentals on Airbnb have moved over to the Expedia and Booking.coms of the world to have longer-term rentals. And you can bet that Booking and Expedia are going to try and, I would say, launch very aggressive short-term rental businesses coming out of the coronavirus pandemic, and try to make a very sticky proposition for those renters, for those homeowners, those producers to stick around and not go back to Airbnb. So I think that's a very likely scenario. I think that'll be very interesting to see. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.